In this video, we're going to practice writing off with a credit memo. The exercise we're going to follow along with is over here on the right side of my screen, and this is pulled from our advanced level ProAdvisor certification course, which if you would like more information about that course after we go through the exercise, be sure to click on the link below in the description. Let's dive right in and see what our scenario is for today. Craig's client, Travis Waldron, suffered a terrible office fire. Everyone is fine, but his entire business was decimated. And while insurance will cover the property, it won't cover Travis's outstanding bills, including the one from Craig. Craig is going to have to write off Travis's outstanding invoice, but the products were taxable, and using the write off tool won't reduce his tax liability. You will have to use a credit memo instead. So let's see how this would work. You will need to be in the sample company to do this exercise. If you are not sure how to get into the sample company or get your own free QBOA account, be sure to click on the link below in the description. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left-hand side. Once you open it up, this is what it should look like, as this is the dashboard. So, if you have not already done so, make sure you review how to create and apply a credit memo so you're familiar with the process in general. And then you'll also want to familiarize yourself with how to write off an invoice. These are two different exercises. I will put a link down below in the description so that you can go ahead and do those exercises as well after you do or before you do this one. So, if you haven't already done those, highly recommend it just so you can get an idea of what more of a background before we do this particular one. Let's go ahead and get started with this exercise. The first thing that we need to do is set up a bad debts expense account. So to do that, we need to get to the chart of accounts, and you can do that by clicking on the accountant tools and then selecting chart of accounts. Accountant tools is on the top corner or top part of the screen. Go ahead and click on that, and then under quick links, select chart of accounts. Let's go ahead and create this bad debt account. We need to click on the green new button right here. You'll get this little pop out coming up to create that new account. This is an expense, so we need to click on the expenses icon. We are going to save this under expenses. So in the save account under field, go ahead and select expenses. Click into that box and you will see expenses. Go ahead and click on that. And then in the tax form section, select bad debts. Go ahead and click into that box, and it's the third one down. Go ahead and select bad debts. And then finally, we need to name this account. So in the account name field, go ahead and type bad debts. Click into that box right there, type bad debts. And then we are all done with filling this out. All we need to do now is click on the green save button. And once we do, that new account has been created for us. Next, you will need to create a bad debts service line item. So in the from the left navigation bar, hover over sales and then select products and services. So over here is sales on from the left navigation bar. And then once you hover over that, from the drop down, you want to select products and services. And let's go ahead and create that new bad debts service item. Click on new, that's the green button right here. And since this is not a product, it's not inventory, we are going to select service. Go ahead and click on that. And let's go ahead and fill it out. In the name field, let's type bad debts. So click into that and go ahead and type bad debts. We're going to leave the box checked next to I sell this product service to my customers, which is right here. Make sure that is still checked. In the income account field, we want to select bad debts. Even though you are going to set it up as an expense account, I know that may sound confusing because it says income account, but you can put expense accounts in here. So we want it to match up with the bad debts, which when you click on the arrow, it is not too far down on that list. Go ahead and select bad debts once you find it. We are all good here, so let's just go ahead and click on Save and Close. That's the green button down here on the bottom right corner. And now that bad debts service item right here has been created. Now, before we create the credit memo, let's take a look at Travis's outstanding invoice. We'll need to know the total. So we're going to click on the Customers tab that's right here at the top. And then once we get the list of customers, we want to scroll down until we find Travis Waldron and click on his name. So go ahead and scroll down on the list until you find it. It should be towards the bottom. Once you find his name, go ahead and click on it, and his profile and transactions and everything will appear. Now, if you get any pop-ups like this, go ahead and click out of them. It's just QBO trying to give you extra information about what's going on in this area. On the invoice 1032 line for $414.72, we want to click on edit. I have this little bar here. I'm going to collapse this so you can see my screen a little bit more, just because my sample company is shortened. You may not need to do so. You can if you want, but you don't have to. So here is that $414.72 invoice. So we want to click on edit. Go ahead and do that, and the invoice will appear for us. You will note that the subtotal before tax is $384. You can see that subtotal for $384. This is the amount we will use to create the credit memo. Also note the amount of California sales tax. So if I scroll down here, here is the California tax, and it is for $30.72. So here is that subtotal that we're using for the credit memo, and then this is the tax liability, that $30.72. So let's go ahead and click on the X on the top right corner of the screen to exit out of the transaction. That's right up here, so go ahead and click on that X. Now, before we create the credit memo, let's take a look at Craig's tax liability so we can see how it is affected. We need to get to the report center. So to do so, from the left navigation bar, click on reports. That's over here about halfway down. Go ahead and select reports. In the sales tax section, we're going to click sales tax liability report. So, I got a little pop up here. If you get something like this, go ahead and click out of it. QBO is just asking for feedback. So in the sales tax section, we're going to click sales tax liability report. So you need to scroll down. You can see the section headings right here. Scroll down until we get to sales tax. It should be towards the bottom. Here it is. Sales tax, and then the sales tax liability report is the one we want. Go ahead and click on that. Let's make sure that we get everything captured. So in the report field, we're going to select all dates and then click on Run Report. So here's the report period. It's currently showing as this quarter. Let's look at everything. Click that down arrow, select all dates, and then select Run Report. And now we are showing all dates here, and the amount total should be $409.44. That is what we are going to be clicking on for, I'm sorry, this is the total for the Board of Equalization, which is California. Arizona has a different total. That is the number that we want to click on because we want to get the report with all the details of what makes up that $409.44. So on that line, let's go ahead and click on that number. Here's California. Here is that $409.44. Go ahead and click on that. Now you'll notice that Travis has two transactions that generated a sales tax liability. The first is from an invoice that was already successfully paid, so Craig will still have to pay that sales tax. The second, $30.72, is from the outstanding invoice. So if I scroll a little bit here, you will see here is the one for Travis. Let me scroll a little bit more. Here is the one for Travis. That is the tax amount from the successfully paid one. And then here's the other one for Travis for that $30.72 that we saw on the invoice that we had just pulled up. So this is the outstanding invoice here. But let's go ahead and create the credit memo. So to do that, we need to click on the plus new button and then select credit memo. So the plus new button is on the top left corner of the screen. Go ahead and click on that. And then we are going to be clicking on credit memo, which is under customers. Go ahead and select that. Let's go ahead and fill it out. In the customer field, we want to select Travis Waldron. So click into it. You can either scroll or start typing in his name. Once you find it, go ahead and click on it and his information is going to appear. We're going to leave the credit memo date as is. It defaults to today, but in a real life scenario, you would want to make that date match the date of the credit memo being created. So on the first line in the product service field, we're going to select bad debts. So click into that and you can either start typing or you can scroll down to find it. Once you do, go ahead and select it. Let's add a little bit of a description here about what this credit memo is for. So in the description field, we want to type office fire. So click into it, type office fire. And then in the amount field, we want to type $384. Remember, that was the subtotal from that invoice. So click into that amount box, type 384. And then in the sales tax field, we want to select California. And note that the sales tax amount will automatically be calculated when we do that. So click into this sales tax field, click into it and select California. Automatically, it will calculate that $30.72 for the total of $414.72. This is matching exactly what was on the previous invoice. It is showing just the subtotal and the sales tax and then the total amount. So let's go ahead and save and close out of this. We are all done. You want to click on the down arrow right here and then select Save and Close. And now that credit memo has been saved. Now, QBO has automatically applied the credit memo as payment on Travis's outstanding invoice. So let's see what happened to the tax liability. You will notice that there is a third transaction for Travis now, this time with a negative amount, reducing the total sales tax liability. So we had that first one right here. That was the one that was already the invoice that was already paid for. This second one, which was the outstanding invoice for $30.72. And then at the very bottom here is that credit memo we just created with a negative $30.72, which is canceling out the sales tax liability for that particular outstanding invoice. And that is how you would write off with a credit memo. Now, if you like this exercise and you want to do more like it, or if you would like more information about the advanced level ProAdvisor certification course, be sure to click on the link below in the description. And I will see you in the next exercise.